Hello everyone, welcome into our latest live broadcast. Oh, it looks like my camera is a little bit turned. I just realized that. Hold on for a second. Oh boy, how did that happen? Let's see if we can put that back the way it was. Oh my goodness. Gotta go that way. There we go. Maybe just a little bit down. Can we go down? Well, okay. I must have bumped into it. Welcome in, everybody. Today it is the 10th of July. It's 2026. It's Friday. I hope you're having a great day out there. Hopefully everybody can see and hear me okay. I want to spend today talking a little bit about a type of virus that malware bites. And as far as I know, no antivirus defends you against it. You are your best antivirus in this case. And you or somebody you know may have been infected with this before, or you may see it in the future, and I want to identify what it is. I first saw this about 2 years ago, and I've had 4 customers infected with it over the last 2 years, with no progression with regards to any antivirus protecting you from it. And it's nasty. So we're going to talk about that today. Also, super shout out to our friends over at VIP-URCDKEYs. That's where I go to get my legal, legitimate, but heavily discounted Windows and Microsoft Office license keys. Many of you that have been here before do know that if you look at any of my videos like this one here and scroll down below the title, you'll see this first gray box there on the left side. Just click on More, and that opens up our video description. That's going to have all the links for anything we talk about in the product, or in the video rather, any links for products or website links. Included are the links for Windows 10, Windows 11, Microsoft Office, and you don't have to use those links. They are not commission-based at all. It just saves you some time by taking you there. You can obviously just go to VIP-URCDKEYs on your own, and if you want to do it the hard way. When you decide you want to purchase the product, you hit the Buy Now button. That will require you to log in. Login is it's free to create an account. And they just need a way to send your receipt to you and your product code, the thing you purchased. Right here, if you want to save some money, again, it's not commission-based. If you choose to use it or not, you can save an additional 25% by using the word Carey as your promotion code. Then submit your order, and then choose how you want to pay and follow through the process like any other online order. There's no difference. Within about 2 minutes, weekday or weekend, holiday or doesn't matter, 365 days a year, within about 2 minutes, you're going to get an email sent to the account you just created, if you didn't have one previously. That's going to contain a receipt for your purchase, along with a download link if you need the software, although I usually get the software elsewhere, but you can totally, use their link, and then your activation key, the thing you paid for. They have 24/7 chat support, so if you have any problems with it, just reach out to their chat. They'll solve it for you every time. If there's some scenario that maybe once every couple of years somebody has a problem that they can't solve, reach out to us personally. We'll take care of it. If we were to find out, just so you know, that we're getting a lot of emails asking for help that isn't being taken care of by VIP-URCDKEYs, we wouldn't endorse them anymore. We're trying to make a win-win-win situation for everybody. We're not a typical YouTube enthusiast channel. I'm a real working computer technician with over 35 years in the industry, and I continue to work in the industry while doing this YouTube channel. And the same promises and guarantees, accountability, responsibility, and liabilities that I have with my real clients in my real business, this is just an extension of that and no different. So it's in everybody's best interest for everybody to play by the rules or get ejected from the game. That's it. No differently than real life. All right. You won't find that, as far as I know, on any other YouTube channel anywhere on YouTube. We're the only ones that are doing this, which is weird. You'd think this would be the default, but you have peace of mind if I'm recommending something to you and I'm endorsing it. I stand behind it with my own money. So if I have to spend a lot of money to make things right, I won't be endorsing that product anymore. But I do need a legitimate place to buy license keys. When I sell computers to customers, I can't charge what Microsoft wants for a license key. Dell doesn't, HP doesn't, Lenovo does not, charge that retail price because nobody would buy them. They'd be too expensive. Customers say, Carey, why should we buy from you when you're $180 more money than $HP? And that's coming from the license key. So I have to buy it the same way they do, except they're buying hundreds of thousands of keys. I'm only buying a few hundred. And the same place that I found, I decided to share with all of you because it's the right thing to do. No business owner in their right mind would share where they're sourcing their goods, because then you could just bypass them. Unlike most other businesses, I want you to bypass me. I want you, if you want to, go around me. On the other hand, if you don't feel like it, or you're not in the mood, or you can't be bothered, then hire me. That's all. I'm not trying to force anybody into hiring me. If you're willing to do it yourself, I'm not hiding any secrets. I'll show you how to do it. And if you want to do the work, have at it. If you don't want me to do the work, I'm happy to bill you and take on the call. So that's the motivation and the incentive that I have to share this information. And if you're still uncertain about it, just ask in our chat room if anybody's had any experience purchasing a key from VIP-URCDKEys, and ask them to explain what that was like. But with that, I still got your back regardless. All right, so shout out to our friend Buster, who sends us a generous PayPal contribution prior to the show starting. And thank you, Buster. He's not feeling well, but we've got him in our thoughts, and we hope that he's going to have a turnaround here very quickly. I hope. And I don't know if he's not in there today in our chat room, but let me just say hello to everybody, and let's see who's joining us. Right now, we've got Eugene Hildago joining us, along with Jonathan Fells, Elijah 52 Dickens, and Sean Skinner. Eddie Casanova, Mark Baggett, Lou Greenia all say hello. There's David Graham joining us. And Mara says we've got an email, so we'll get right over to that here as soon as we're done saying hello to everybody in our chat. We've got John Rogers saying hello, and Lana Dro, Mark Gaines, Eddie Casanova, Andy W6AD, along with David Herzog, Ben Laird, all joining us here in the chat, along with the Muffin Man and Diet Culture is in the chat room. Somebody signed into the wrong account. That's Mara. Michael Lavelle says hello. And Patrick Manny says hello. Welcome in, everybody. Oh, there she goes. All right. Now that's Mara in blue, our channel administrator, hanging out with everyone. John Lewis out of Brazil joins us and says hello. There's Buster. Buster says, hello, everyone in the chat. The temperature in Edinburgh, Scotland, 63 degrees Fahrenheit or 17.2 degrees Celsius, and he's going to catch up tomorrow. Get some rest, my friend. We'll look forward to talking with you. And Frank Jimmy says hello. Victor Torres. Oh, and of course, thank you, Buster, for your continued generosity. And we appreciate you very much. Let's see. Frank Jimmy saying hello. Victor Torres says hello. Greedy Everything joining us in the chat room, along with Xander Vanderhoven, I think joining us from the Netherlands. Dazzle555 and Richard DeFries. Yeah, Buster said he's exhausted. Yeah, I bet. Get some rest, my friend. Nick C in the chat room saying hello. There's Ron Barnish and Jack Kogomis. Stephen Detroit and Taffer joining us here in the chat room. Hey, Frankie B. Good to see you, Frankie. Nicholas Barlow also says hello. Ron says he's also having a bad day. I'm sorry, Ron, but hopefully I can distract you for a couple hours here. So sometimes it's what we need in our life, a distraction. We'll see if that works. Nick C says, I rebuilt my PC the past month, upgrading my board after 3 years. I bought a keyboard. Oh, I bought a license key from VIP. It was great. I just used the code Carey. I am watching on my new machine now. Well, thank you, Nick. Thanks for letting us know your experience with them. It matches pretty much exactly what we would expect. And there you go. I don't know who Nick is. He's not on my payroll. So he's just a viewer like you, sharing his experience, so you don't have to worry if I'm exaggerating or if it's hyperbole. Peter Retired says hello, and Bajan Guy says hello. Luke Greenia renews his support here as a member now for 50 months. He goes in, we just keep having fun. Thank you, Mara and Carey. Thank you, Luke. All right, John Williams joins us and says hello. Isaiah says hello, and Laura the Bear joining us from Michigan. And in the email, Mark Gaines sends an Amazon gift card in lieu of a super chat. He says, hope you enjoy my gift card, my contribution for tonight's stream. Thank you, Mark, as always. Appreciate your generosity and your friendship, most importantly. And let's see. Okay, I think that catches me up. And let's see. Remote access Trojan, RAT. It's a rat. We've got rats, ladies and gentlemen. So the problem that we're seeing, customer calls and says, my computer says Windows is updating at 2%, and it's just staying there. And by the way, this isn't happening on the second Tuesday of the month or, you know, that same week. This is happening outside of the normal window. There are no Windows updates they would be getting otherwise. And what they're seeing is a fake screen, and they can see their mouse moving. So what's happened is they've clicked on something and they clicked yes on it. Whoever the end user is in this scenario clicked on something they shouldn't have, and then it said, are you sure? And they said yes. So they did it twice, right? First, they clicked on something they shouldn't have, and second, it was confirmed. What they don't realize they did is they just installed a malicious version of Screen Connect software. The Screen Connect is a very popular, digitally signed, authorized staple in remote access support, and businesses use it, customers use it. It's very, very popular. But you wouldn't know you installed it, right? People just click yes. They want to get the dialogue out of the face, and they don't pay attention to what they're clicking on. So what ends up happening is it installs a maliciously altered Screen Connect service on your computer. You won't find it in your startup applications. You won't find it in your task scheduler. You won't find it in your installed apps. It doesn't exist. Where a legitimate version of installing Screen Connect would be there to uninstall it. It disables the safe mode, and then it ties the Screen Connect client DLL file into your what's called the Windows LSA, or the local security authority, meaning Windows won't boot without it. And what they do then is essentially, and maybe not right away, but you've now given them full remote access to your computer at their convenience, and they're probably in another country on another time zone. So likely, while you're sleeping, if you're like most people, they are seeing your computer online as they wake up and start their day. When they connect to it, you get a screen that says Windows is updating at 2%. And at that point, they have your desktop. You have a scan of your driver's license or your passport on your desktop. They've already grabbed it. They'll look through your My Documents folder. They'll open up your browser to see all the sites you're signed into. If you leave yourself signed into Amazon, they'll probably order themselves some gift cards. They may order some items from websites and have them delivered to an address to somebody who was offered a job. They don't know anything about it. They say, can I ship? I have a job for you, right? The people are looking for gig work and stuff, and this will be posted on forums where people are looking for they're posting jobs. So the scammers post these jobs that say, all you have to do is let me ship packages to your house, and I'll pay you, and then you just forward the packages on to another address. You know, oh, that's easy money. I can do that. And they're unknowingly an accomplice in this crime. Famously in the news, a guy was being extorted by a scammer, and the scammer said, I'm the police, and I need you to pay this money in cash to get you off or we're going to come over and arrest you. And this old man was like playing along with it, but he had his own little secret plan. And he's like, how do I get you the cash? They said, we're going to send somebody to come pick it up. So then they called Uber, basically, and said, we need you to go to this address. You know, they open the Uber app, they use a fake account. Go to this address and pick up a package for us. So the person from Uber accepts the job. They go to the person's address, they knock on the door, I'm here to pick up a package. And the guy pulls out a gun and shoots the Uber driver dead. Take that, you scammer. But the Uber driver wasn't the scammer. The Uber driver had no idea what was going on. The Uber driver died. Scammer got away with it. I mean, the scammer didn't get any money, but they caused somebody to die, to be murdered, because of what they created, and it's pretty nasty out there. You've got to be careful. So the scammers, you know, once they show that Windows is updating screen, they have full control of your computer. So if you left yourself signed into your bank, or if you left yourself signed into any shopping sites, they just log in as you with your browser. You're already logged in. If you have investment accounts, you just sign into your investment account, start transferring money, and wire it right out of your account while you're sleeping. And you wake up and you've just lost $300,000 overnight. There's no getting it back in most cases. So you run Malwarebytes, you're like, I wonder what this is. You know, you see it for the first time, maybe you restart the computer, and of course the computer restarts fine, you're back at the desktop. Let's say you have a paid antivirus like Malwarebytes. You do a full, complete, thorough scan, takes 2-3 hours. Malwarebytes said, this computer is completely clean. But it isn't. It's still got the Screen Connect service running, and Malwarebytes ignores it, as does every single antivirus. Going on for 2 years. It's not like they don't know about it. So what's the solution? Well, you need to get that Screen Connect service removed. But all of the changes that prevent you from booting into safe mode and the hook into your local security authority of Windows basically render your Windows, even if you remove Screen Connect, they render it compromised. And one of two things you could do is, if you had something like a Cronus and you had a backup recently, just restore your full system backup. You're back up and running. It's really not that big of a deal. But if you haven't made a backup in a while, and Murphy's Law, in my experience, is like, you know, that's always the case. They're not doing the backups regularly. Then what has to happen is the machine has to be, you know, unplugged from the internet. Any amount of data on the machine, your documents, your pictures, none of that's compromised. It's the actual operating system that's compromised. And to get the operating system to be 100% secure guaranteed, you need to reinstall the operating system clean. So pull off your data, which means your My Documents folder, your desktop folder, your favorites folder, pictures, music, movies, all that stuff. Just copy it off onto a flash drive or something. Get a new Windows install media, completely erase the drive, completely wipe it, do a fresh clean install, reinstall your drivers, reinstall your updates. You can put your data back on, reinstall Office, reconfigure your email, reconfigure your printers, reinstall all your applications, RoboForm if you're using that. By the way, if you're using RoboForm and you leave yourself signed into RoboForm, when they grab remote access, they'll just click on your RoboForm and they can log into all your sites no differently than you do. Isn't that a fun one? Can you imagine waking up one morning and finding out tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars that you have saved up over your lifetime have just been wire transferred with no reversal to an anonymous location that can't be clawed back, and the United States attorneys and law officials have no authority in these countries of the people that are doing this? I think the message here is you can't rely on antivirus to protect you. If you're someone that ordinarily leaves your computer on and you leave yourself signed into accounts, either shut the computer off when you're done with it or sign yourself out of those accounts. Be sure to always enable two-factor authentication. So if anybody's trying to log in as you, even on your own computer, I love how, you know, it's convenient. You go to Amazon, it says, welcome back, Carey. Okay, well, when somebody grabs remote access to my desktop while I'm sleeping because I left my computer on, and they go to Amazon, it says, welcome back, Carey, they just get right to ordering. So this has been going on for 2 years. I've had now 4 customers since 2 years ago when I first saw it. 4 different customers. They don't know each other. They've all been affected by it. The most recent one this week. All 4 customers have no idea what they clicked on. When I ask them, they're completely clueless. I say, well, this thing didn't just install itself. You clicked on something. Now, maybe they know and they're embarrassed and they don't want to tell me. Or maybe they're genuinely and sincerely completely clueless as to how the hell that got on there. I said, well, something popped up and asked you yes or no as a result of you clicking on something. And then you clicked yes. And once you did that, you were already done. And it's pretty nasty that they disable safe mode and they've got it hooked into the local security authority, because if you try to remove it out of the local security authority, the next time you reboot, you'll just get a blue screen. Windows won't boot anymore. Again, your data's fine. You can always take the drive out, put it in an enclosure and copy the data off of it. But this is why you always want backups at all times, because you don't know when it's going to happen. And when it does happen, the question is this going to be an easy fix or is this going to be an all-day fix? And how much are you going to lose? How much money is going to get stolen out of your bank account, out of your investment accounts? And how are you ever going to get that money back? And then what's left to protect anymore, right? Once that's happened, who cares anymore? Then you're going to deal with identity theft. If you have copies of your driver's license, if you have copies of your passport, they can use that to create new accounts in your name, because now they have everything about you that one would use to apply for credit, for example. So I've written to Malwarebytes and I said, look guys, I understand the dilemma that this is a legitimate piece of software, Screen Connect, and just by having it doesn't mean it's malicious. But when Screen Connect is installing, you could detect that and pop up a window that says, warning, you're about to install Screen Connect remote access software. Is this something you want to do? Just interrupt the install, because Malwarebytes, if the paid version, is always monitoring what's going on in the system. And just put a user confirmation on the screen. You're about to install remote access to your computer. Was this your intention? Why haven't Malwarebytes done that? Instead, when you load up Malwarebytes, there's a whole separate section buried underneath several clicks where you can scan for remote software. Optionally, it's not offered to you. You have to know it's there. You have to know how to find it. And all it's going to do is say, well, here's, you know, we found Instant House Call, we found Screen Connect, we found Rust Desk. And you're like, wait a minute. I put on Rust Desk, Carey put on Instant House Call. Where did the Screen Connect come from? But it doesn't help you to remove it. Now, if it's a legitimate Screen Connect and you just forgot about it, you just go to Control Panel, your settings, go to Apps, alphabetically look for Screen Connect, uninstall it, no big deal. But the malicious version has no uninstall. And it sticks its fingers into your registry, it sticks its fingers into your local user account on Windows, and puts up a fake, in this case, a fake Windows Update screen that never moves. It's a static picture that says Windows Update at 2%, like you're walking in an art museum. It never changes. It's a static photo. After a while, people go, gosh, you know, that's been on for a while. Well, imagine what they've been doing, because the only time that screen appears is when they're connected to you. So however long you were waiting for that screen to go to 3% or to finish, then the whole time they've been transferring funds, copying your data, withdrawing money out of your accounts, collecting your credit card information saved on websites. Whew, boy, it's pretty bad. Now, this doesn't happen on phones like Android and iOS. This is a Windows feature. But the point is that even though you're paying for Malwarebytes, it's not protecting you. And I'm not aware of any single antivirus that will. Your best defense is you not doing that to begin with. When in doubt, just click no. So what I've done is I brought this machine out here, just a new computer. I don't think I have anything on it. And I'm going to show you, I'm not going to install the Screen Connect malware, primarily because nobody can tell me where they got it from. Not a single infected user has any clue how it happened. So I don't know how they got it. They don't know how they got it. And I've had to wipe and reinstall Windows for each one of them over the last 2 years with new, download the drivers, put Office back on, reconfigure email and printers. You know the routine, right? Isn't that fun? So let's start by going over here and let's explore a little bit. Let's see if the screen will come up here. There it is. Okay. Let me move this keyboard and mouse. Let's come over here. And I think maybe, let's see if we want to do Copilot. Is it going to make me sign in? If Copilot wants me to sign in, we'll simply use Google Gemini. Now let's talk to AI about it. We'll go gemini.google.com. And let's see. What is a remote access Trojan? We can start there if you want an explanation. Remote access Trojan is a type of malware that gives a cybercriminal full administrative control and remote access. And here's how it works, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I have a Windows update screen stuck at 2%, but I see my mouse moving. See what Gemini says. Means your computer's not frozen. But I think it misunderstood me when I said my mouse is moving on its own. Don't worry about the misspellings. It understands. Now it says unplug your internet. Okay, so you can either turn the computer off, pull the plug, or just disconnect. If you have a hardwired Ethernet line, just unplug the Ethernet. It's just like unplugging a phone. You could always just pull the power plug out of the back of the computer. Don't worry about damaging the operating system. This is way more important. Because a rat gives an attacker full administrative access, you can't trust any antivirus. I scanned with Malwarebytes with a paid Malwarebytes. Let's do this. I did a full 3-hour scan with a paid Malwarebytes, and it says no virus found. Here's why Malwarebytes isn't detecting it. Okay. I see Screen Connect client in services.msc, and safe mode is disabled, and the Screen Connect screenconnect.dll won't allow me to delete it, as it is in the local security authority. You are dealing with an incredibly dangerous situation. The fact that Screen Connect is injected into the local security authority process explains why Malwarebytes missed it. The attacker has actively modified your system's core security architecture to prevent deletion and block safe mode. because it's running inside the lsass.exe file, Windows will protect that file at all costs. If you try to force delete it while Windows is running, the computer will instantly blue screen. So you could stop the service. You could look for Screen Connect, right? You can go down here and you can type services.msc and just look to see, alphabetize, to go down to the S's and see if Screen Connect client is in here. Anything that says Screen Connect, let's go to the S's. Okay, it starts with SE. This would be SC, right? That would be between RPC and secondary login. It would say Screen Connect client. There may be some other words in there afterwards, but that is the service running. And you can always double click on that and stop the service. And you can always go to a command prompt and delete the service. However, it's still hooked into your LSA, your local security authority. It's still in your user folder, and it still has altered your registry to disable safe mode. So even if you remove it, you're still infected. So they're showing you at a DOS prompt how you can should be able to explain how to stop the service right here. Then you can delete the file from outside of Windows. I've tried everything recommended here. Nothing worked. The only thing that did work was a complete wipe and reinstall of the operating system as though the computer were new. This is basically the only way that you can be sure you got everything. It's such a dangerous infection that will empty your bank account when you're not looking. You don't want to play around and say, well, I think I got it. You need to know for a fact it's out. And the customer says, well, how can I prevent this from happening again? And I say, well, how did it happen? And they say, I don't know. I say, well, whatever you did to cause it, don't do that again. I mean, that's all we can do. So the customer may actually know exactly what they did, but they may not be willing to share that information, or they might genuinely and sincerely have no idea how that got on there. All I tell them is at some point you clicked yes on something. Well, you did more than that. You clicked on something that resulted in a user account access asking, or yes or no, and you said yes, and then you're done. You're just totally done. At that point, they typically don't log into the computer remotely immediately. As I mentioned, they're likely in a country where they're on a completely different time zone, likely 8 to 12 hours difference. So while you're asleep, if you leave the computer on, they'll put that fake Windows is stuck at 2% screen. Does this virus have a name? So remote access Trojan is a genre. So again, in my opinion, all Malwarebytes has to do is see that you're installing the Screen Connect service as it's monitoring your computer on a paid licensed version of Malwarebytes, and just throw a user confirmation dialog informing the user you're about to install remote access, full remote access software onto your computer. Is this what you are intending to do, yes or no? That's all they've ever had to do. For 2 years, apparently nobody at Malwarebytes has thought of this. Or there's a problem there that I haven't thought about. So let's go to Malwarebytes. So let's say you're more of a technical person and you have Malwarebytes, and Malwarebytes says you don't have any virus, but you know damn well you do. You know it's remote access because you see somebody's got control of your mouse. At that point, you could ask your favorite AI chatbot, will Malwarebytes detect remote access programs? And it will tell you where to click and where to find it, because as far as I can tell, it's pretty well buried. So let's install and I'll show you. Now, I don't know why when I do a full scan, it also wouldn't report remote access programs during a full scan, regardless if they're viruses or not, just for awareness. Maybe Maybe you installed TeamViewer 3 years ago and you stopped using it, but forgot to uninstall it. Just to raise awareness, by the way, I see Screen Connect and TeamViewer and Instant House. If it's remote access, there's a service running for it every time. All right, that much we know. So if we open up Malwarebytes, we close this out, close that one out, and let's minimize this. And we're going to say get started, maybe later, and we'll just continue with the free trial. When you do a scan and the scan says it's fine, then you go, well, how would I know what remote access software? Maybe there's more than one. And that's under, I think it's under privacy. And then remote desktop programs. And then it will list them here. But it says remote access programs monitoring, but it doesn't bring it to your attention. You have to go down and bury. You've got to have the wherewithal to look for it and find it, or to ask a chatbot to explain where to find it to you, to even say, does it even have this feature? Because I've been using Malwarebytes for over 10 years. I don't know when this was added. I don't know how long it's been there. And it was only on this recent infection that I noticed the customer has a paid version of Malwarebytes. And that Malwarebytes says the system's clean. And at no point did Malwarebytes ever suggest about remote access. Never. So when I asked a chatbot about it, the chatbot told me, click privacy, click the remote desktop programs tab. And you'll see it's enabled by default, and yet it was enabled, but it does nothing. It's only reporting. It's not alerting the user or drawing the user's attention to it. The user has to go with purpose to locate this screen to identify it. And you know, what's the point of paying for Malwarebytes if it's not going to protect you from these threats? So of course the hackers know this. They love it. And that's why this has been a problem for my customers. Over the last 2 years, it remains completely unmitigated. So it works as well today as it did 2 years ago. It's affecting the customers in the same ways. It's stealing their data. It's trying to empty their bank accounts. Anything they're signed into on their browser, it harvests all the logins and passwords that they ask the browser to save. If they leave themselves logged into RoboForm, they have full access to log in. So you always want to tell RoboForm to log you out after a couple minutes automatically. Yeah, pretty nasty. See here now. I wish I could demonstrate it, but I don't know where to get it from. Because I could easily throw this on, it wants me to do a quick scan. So the quick scan on Malwarebytes only takes about 2 minutes, by the way. It's the deep scan. When I click here, and I click advanced scans, and I do a custom scan, I want it to do rootkits, etc. You could even choose, if you noticed under advanced scans, it says deep scan. It doesn't seem to find the remote access software in any of those 3 options. So even if it did find it, it can't remove it. Like in this case, there'd be nothing Malwarebytes can do other than make you aware of it. But Malwarebytes always had the ability to interrupt the installation as it sees its remote software, to pause that, interrupt it, and throw a user confirmation dialog up on the screen. Because if you choose yes and allow it to install, then only a wipe and a complete wipe of the disk and a reinstall of the operating system can get you back at 100% clean. So at least then you had 3 yeses you had to click, right? You had the lead key you had to click, you had a confirmation you had to click, and then Malwarebytes could say, hey, are you knowingly installing remote access software? And you say no, it could have stopped it in its tracks. No big deal, get on with your day. 1 click, the whole thing will take less than a second, 2 seconds. But Malwarebytes doesn't do it that way. Malwarebytes just lets you do it and lets the malicious remote software install. Since it can't determine what's legit from what's not legit, and nobody at Malwarebytes has apparently thought to maybe just ask, are you aware this is what you're doing? Give them an opportunity to say no. It's a super easy thing to code. I mean, Malwarebytes can take out some pretty nasty viruses So preventing the virus from going in is one of the easiest things you could possibly code. So I don't know, maybe write to Malwarebytes, let them know. I'm not aware of any antivirus software that will block this. If you know of one, please let me know. In the meantime, we just want you to be aware of it. You are your best antivirus. And I'm not worried about you guys. I am worried about the people you know, your friends and your family. They're the ones who are calling you, right? And you know what to look for. Because when I initially removed this virus, or thought I did, you know, with the mount, I do all my standard routine. I look in the startup. I look in the task scheduler. I look in installed programs. I couldn't find it. And I forgot. I forgot to go to services. Because if you have any remote software installed, it must install a service for that to work. Instant House Call has a service. TeamViewer has a service. Screen Connect has a service. And by disabling the service, you should prevent that login from happening, but you still have a compromised registry in Windows install that's no longer safe. So who's to say that that somehow doesn't reactivate the or replace the Screen Connect service again without you being aware? It's hard to know unless you come back to your computer 3 days later and it says updating Windows stuck at 2% again. How's that for a how do you do? Mark Leibowitz joins us, says hello, and Green Dragon says, I use a program called Syrup Secure to warn me of remote access. I've never heard of that before. I'll have to look into it. Maybe time to stop recommending Malwarebytes. It might have been time 2 years ago. The fact that these customers don't know each other, but they've all been a victim of it, and none of them can tell me how they got it. They have no idea. It's one thing when you have ransomware. Like, let's say this, instead of stealing all your stuff, what it did is it encrypted all your stuff and held it at ransom. It could theoretically encrypt anything connected to your network. If you have a NAS, if you have other computers on your local network, it just encrypt all of them while you're sleeping. And it says, you know, if you want the key to unencrypt, send us some money within 72 hours. Otherwise, you know, the solution is still the same. You format, you reinstall, and you recover from your backups. If your backups are full system images, you're doing a format and a reinstall when you're restoring a system image. As for a NAS that may be data only, that I hope you have a backup of that data, because once it's encrypted, it may be just cheaper and faster to pay the extortion money and hope they genuinely send you the key. And then the first thing I would do as soon as that happens is I would back up my data. It's going to cost you a lot of money and a lot of time, no matter which way you look at it. So in some ways, these clients got lucky they were never encrypted. And in other ways, they nearly had tens of thousands of dollars drained out of their accounts. They were this close. So I suppose you should put, you know, if you have an investment account, if you with your local bank, make sure that verification, second factor verification, has to be turned on. If you don't know if they do that, call them. Say, listen, I've heard people can transfer money out of my checking account. I want to make sure that only I can do that. Maybe alert me if there's any amount greater than $1,000 at any point, get my confirmation. A lot of times if you ask, they can turn that on. If they say there's nothing we can do, you should consider moving your money to a different financial organization that will protect your money by verifying with you that if a certain amount is trying to be withdrawn, that it cannot happen without contacting you. So yeah, we're dealing with scammers on, you know, you try and sell something on Facebook, nearly everybody that reaches out to you is a scammer now. Sometimes they want to send you like a 6-digit code. They say, hey, I need to verify I'm talking to a real person. I'm going to send you a 6-digit code. Tell me what the code is. And what they're doing is they're logging in as you, clicking I forgot my password, And Facebook then says, we'll send a 6-digit code to you. What the hacker does is says, I'm sending you a 6-digit code. It's your 6-digit code. They triggered it on Facebook to send it to you. You say, I forgot my password. Facebook says, okay, we're going to send you a 6-digit code to the email you have on file. The hacker tried to log in as you. The hacker clicked, I forgot my password. And the hacker told you, expect an email with a 6-digit code so I can verify who you are. And all you're trying to do is sell a table on Facebook. This is how they get you. And you're like, well, before I send any money, I got to verify who you are. Send me the 6-digit code. I'm about to send it to you. That wasn't them sending it to you. That was them trying to log in as you, and Facebook sending the code to you to reset your password. So then you give that 6-digit code to them because they asked for it. It makes sense, but it really doesn't. But you might think in the moment it makes sense. And then they change your password, and they're logged in as you as Facebook. And good luck proving to Facebook who the real you is. Is it them or is it you? Were you the hacker the whole time? Facebook doesn't know. You're done. You know when those 6-digit codes say, don't share this with anybody? Don't share it with any. I mean, I don't know how much simpler you could make it. If you ever get a 6-digit code, it always says, don't share this with anybody. Under any circumstances, you never, ever tell anybody a 6-digit code that was texted or emailed to you. Never. If you have, someone says you have to, that is a scammer. Every single time, 100% of the time, you're dealing with a scammer. That's it. It's that simple. And that's why I say, you know, something like Malwarebytes isn't going to stop that from happening because you're the one doing it. It's like putting a burglar alarm on your house, but you never turn it on and you leave your doors wide open. What good's the burglar alarm going to do when you're the biggest problem to your own security? So we've got to accept responsibility or get yourself off of Windows. If you say, you know, this is it, I'm just done with Windows now. Literally use anything else. Windows is the highest target, the most commonly attacked target because there's just so many Windows installs. You're bound to find suckers and people who don't know any better. The odds are really good. Lots and lots of them. So either accept that responsibility and continue to use Windows, or maybe now it's time to just go phone only. Use Linux. Oh, Linux has problems, but they're not as highly targeted. Use Mac. Mac has problems, but not nearly as much targeted. So the odds of it happening are significantly decreased when you step away from Windows. But if you're going to use Windows, you need to be careful with it. That's all. If you're going to drive an 18-wheeler truck with 80,000 pounds of materials, you better drive very carefully because it's hard to stop that truck. And you're going to create mayhem and death if you don't maintain it. You blow the tire because you didn't maintain the tires, or your brakes go out because you didn't maintain your brakes, people are going to die. So, you know, special licenses are required for driving commercial vehicle, commercial driver's license. That requires special training and testing. You just don't hop in an 18-wheeler and drive it. To do so is illegal for these reasons. Well, in much the same way, you know, when you're using Windows and you're not using it responsibly, and you don't know you're not using it responsibly, you're going to find out when everything's taken from you in minutes. Everything you've ever worked so hard to save and scrimp and you know, save pennies, and they'll drain it in minutes, seconds even. All while covering the screen from you because you won't even know what's happening until it's done. And when you contact the authorities, they'll take a report. You contact the FBI, they'll look into it. More than likely, that money's gone forever. Then usually what follows is suicide. People, especially older people that now have lost all of their retirement income, it's not uncommon for them to realize now that there's no way they can continue to stay in their house or to buy food or to pay for electricity. All of their money just got taken, and when they're told by authorities we can't get that back, quite often it's a dead body that's found shortly thereafter. That's how serious this is. Gewoon Peter, that's Peter for the Netherlands, can renews membership now, a member for 37 months. Right on. Thank you, Gewoon. Mark Dane says Kit Boga, the guy who likes to scam the scammers, he created Seraph Secure. Oh, okay. Let me find out a little bit about that. I've never heard of it, and that's great. That's why I ask. See, this comes up clean. Of course, it is clean. Let's go to what is Seraph Secure? Let's just ask the chatbot. Fraudulent remote access attempts. It's important to know that it's not a traditional antivirus, nor is it malware. Instead, it is classified as anti-scam software, meant to fill the gaps that regular programs like McAfee, Norton, and Malwarebytes often miss. Features of Seraph Secure directly address the exact kind of attack you're facing right now. Well, then why didn't you recommend it to me? Probably because the ship has already sailed, right? You need it before. Where do I get Seraph Secure? seraphsecure.com. It's free. Oh, there is a free version. Protect your loved ones, and your loved ones can get protection for free. Okay. Let's try that. Starts, blocks remote connection, removes existing. Oh. All right, we'll put our email in there. Agree? Agree? No, I don't want that. Just want the first one. Download, install. Yes. Now, if I was Malwarebytes, I would be offering to buy Seraph Secure so that I could implement it into my product. Accept the license. Start scan now. If you believe scammers could still be connected, we recommend disconnecting. This is excellent. Okay. It's probably got an icon down here. There it is right there. Let's change our taskbar settings so we always see that on the taskbar to remind us that we have it and that it's running correctly. I hate that the taskbar hides critical items like Malwarebytes and Seraph Secure and even the regular Defender is hidden by default. I don't know what Microsoft is thinking to hide that. So it should always be visible. I don't need to see Microsoft OneDrive, but that's what Microsoft puts there, something unimportant. It says that Quick Assist from Microsoft is installed by default. It's not a problem, but it could be used by an attacker. So it recommends removing it. I agree with that 100%. This is fantastic, guys. Thank you for making me aware of this. At least for the customers that say, how can I prevent it again? How can I prevent this from happening again? And I say, well, what did you do to cause it? What did you click on? They don't know. None of them know. Then I say, well, I don't know. I mean, I would tell you not to click on that again. But now I could say, well, you can download this Seraph Secure. It doesn't replace Malwarebytes. It fills the gap in where Malwarebytes and Windows Defender are dropping the ball. You guys, I would say a call to action to reach out to Malwarebytes and ask him why this person, Kit Boga, who scams scammers, why is he able to do something that Malwarebytes, that are supposedly experts with a couple decades of experience, haven't got a clue? They allow this to this day, even though I'm sure they're aware of it and have been for at least 2 years. They haven't come up with any solution, but this one guy does. So why don't they work with them? Why don't they license it? Why don't they develop their own? Why should we pay for your product when your product won't protect us and this free product will? I think it's a valid question to be asked to Malwarebytes support and look for justification. Say, how do you explain yourself? Why would I buy your product when something that's been around for 2 years you still haven't addressed that could empty my bank account? And you allow it. When I do a full deep scan, nothing. And I got to click on sub menus in order to even know that there's a way to even see the remote access software. How would I know to do that? Why is that not coming up on a default scan? By the way, you know, we see these remote programs are installed. You don't have to do anything about it. Just make me aware. So I have to remember as a tech to go into the services.msc, and that's where I drop the ball. But even still, the system still needed to be wiped and reinstalled, but at least the hacker isn't getting back in it. What an ugly, ugly thing. And you know, when it happened 2 years ago, I didn't think much of it. I thought, give it a couple days, Malwarebytes will probably have some kind of a remedy for it. But when it happened again about a year later, I was like, that's kind of weird. Malwarebytes isn't finding this. And it actually happened 2 more times since then. And it's like Groundhog Day. I'm stuck on the same day I was on 2 years ago and had way too much faith in Malwarebytes. Shame on me. Shame on me. Malwarebytes just lost a lot of respect from me. And I don't know that I can recommend their products anymore. That's way too serious of a absolute. They've had lots of opportunity to come up with a remedy or to raise awareness to the end user, and yet they choose not to. When it's fully within their means, it's very easy for them to do this. It's incredibly simple. So simple that a typical influencer can create their own product that does what Malwarebytes cannot do with all their so-called experts and all the financing they have. I'd ask Malwarebytes to explain that. And what are they planning to do? I would ask Malwarebytes, please advise if I should continue using your product, and if so, what reassurances can you give me that this won't happen again? Or should I just go ahead and use a competitor's product? What would you recommend I do? What would you do if you were me? So don't tell them what to do. Let them come to that conclusion on their own. Did you try ADW Cleaner? ADW Cleaner doesn't clean remote access. As far as I know, it's an adware cleaner. So if you're getting all kinds of pop-ups, like if we go back over here for a second, and you ask, let's bring up Gemini again. I guess I should not have closed it. Let's bring that back out. Turn that extension on. It's not that Malwarebytes is useless. I mean, it does perform 98% of protection, but why the other 2% isn't there after 2 years? You know, that's the part I can't wrap my head around. They've had time. What's the deal? It's so easy. What's the excuse? And again, they don't have to remove it. Just make me aware. Okay, so let's go to Gemini. What does ADW Cleaner do? And I think it's just remove adware, search redirection, and not remote access. I don't think it does anything with remote access. And ADW Cleaner find and remove unwanted remote access. I don't think it can. No, that's not what it's used for. So with remote access Trojans or rats, can ADW Cleaner fix it? No. No. So if you were tricked, nope. That's really ADW Cleaner. The way I would describe it is if you're getting really annoyed, customer says, These ads keep popping up on my screen. Every time I search, it's taking me to some other search engine. I don't know how this happened, and it's really annoying. That's adware. Adware is not harmful. It's like there's a gnat flying around the room, or there's many gnats. They're not going to hurt you. They're just annoying. So ADW Cleaner cleans up potentially unwanted programs, things like advertising and search redirection, things like that, that aren't harmful in and of themselves. They might be spying on you or redirecting you or throwing ads in your face, but they aren't harming, they're not stealing anything but your time and your computer resources, but not your data. That's why it's called ADW Cleaner. It's an adware cleaner, not a virus remover. Adware or viruses are two different things, just like a remote access Trojan is a form of a virus. Adware is not a form of a virus. Adware is a form of a PUP, PUP, potentially unwanted program. See, some people may actually want those ads, believe it or not. And most people don't, in my experience. At least those are the ones who call me, right? The people that want it, they don't call. So from my perspective, most people don't want it. But you can understand my perspective is a little biased because the people who want it wouldn't be calling me to begin with. I would never know. Albert Hewson just became a supporter. Thank you, Albert. And Sean Gallagher also renewed support with us. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us here. Patrick Manny just renewed his membership for the 50th month in a row. 50. Nice. Thank you, Patrick. Talk about loyalty. Oh, you guys are amazing. Frank Jimmy said, I had another IT pro recommend Seraph Secure. I used it on a client PC today. Detected Ultra Viewer, which I use. Quick Assist, which comes with Windows. And the Chrome Remote Desktop. On my most recent client, he was using Chrome Remote Desktop. And I said, actually, there were two clients. Let me go to the one before this one. I was connected to this guy, and he lives in the sticks. He's got Starlink. I talked about him before. And the connection's a little laggy. And I'm trying to figure out, you know, this computer's pretty fast. Why is the connection so laggy? Starlink's supposed to be pretty good. I've never used it before, but the lag was almost like DSL maybe. I was going to say dial-up, but it wasn't quite that bad. And I look through his ad remove, you know, I look at the added programs, and I say, let's look through this together and take out anything you don't use. He's got old printers. Do you still have a Canon printer? No. Can I remove this? Yes. I go, do you know what this program is? Yes, I use that for blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you don't need to tell me what you use it for. We got a long list to get through. I just need to know, is this something you know what it is and you want to keep it? Just give me a yes or no. Let's get through the list, okay? I don't need to know why. Okay, no problem. Okay, so we get through Chrome Remote Desktop and Chrome. There's two things. I go, did you put this on here? He goes, yeah. I go, why? Oh, so I can access the computer remotely. I go, well, why not just use Rustdesk? Why not just use UltraViewer? Why not just use any of a dozen free, secure remote programs? Why use Chrome? Well, it works. I go, yeah, but it's kind of heavy. He's like, what does that mean? I go, well, can I uninstall it and we can put something else on? He goes, yeah. I go, I'll show you. And I uninstalled the two Chrome remote desktop. There's two things that are related. As soon as I uninstalled it, most of the lag, it was at least cut in half. It was like things were happening faster. I go, that's why. I don't see any reason, you know, Chrome is a big, big target for hackers. Stay away from putting remote access on it. Stay away from letting it save your passwords. Use a program like RoboForm. Make sure all of your accounts have two-factor authentication and set alerts. So, for example, on all my credit cards, I get transaction alerts. And I say, if there's any transaction over $1, send an SMS text to my phone. immediately. So when I'm at a restaurant and I hand the server my credit card, they walk away with it, my phone goes beep. While I'm sitting there waiting for them to come back with my credit card, I can already see the amount has been charged to the account that matches the amount on the receipt, usually without the tip on it yet, just the actual amount. And within a few days, I'll see the amount adjusted to whatever the tip was. Now, I can set that alert to say, well, alert me if it's $1,000 or more, but I set it to $1. I can also say, alert me if my payment has not been made, but is due within a week or 3 days, 5 days. You set it. How many days do you want awareness of you've got a payment due? Before it's due, how do you want to be alerted that it's coming up? Yes. Do you want to be alerted if a payment's been received? Nah. Do you want to be alerted if you have a late payment? Yes. Do you want to be alerted if you're getting close to your credit limit? Do you want to be alerted? Yes. Okay, how close? You know, if you got a $10,000 credit card limit, at what point do you want me to alert you that you've exceeded this balance? $7,000. Okay. You have to turn all that on with every credit card you've got, and likely with your bank, it would be notifications or alerts. You have to turn them on and then have it send messages to your phone. Now, those messages don't want you to call anybody. So any other text you get where saying, hey, there's a problem, call us, those aren't real. These are just alerts. This is what's going through. And then if you have a problem where something's going through and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't just do that, then you call the number on the back of your credit card and you talk to them. Because the best way to get that reversed is to activate immediately. Immediately get on the phone. Say, I just got an alert of a transaction that I don't know what this is, and they can stop it really, really easily when you react that quickly. Otherwise, there's forms to fill out, and you sign an affidavit that it wasn't you, and then within 90 days, usually they do what they can to reverse it, and they file a police report, blah, 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 blah. But so by turning those alerts on, it's also peace of mind for me. I don't have to wait and see if the server at the restaurant overcharged me. I had a server bring me somebody else's ticket. They go, here you go, and I looked at it, and it was a lot of money. And I said, none of this is what we ordered. Oh, my bad. I had a server, and I don't know if this is a scam, but I had a server add a beer to my order. I don't drink beer. And I was looking at the receipt and just verifying, and that's just the way I am. You bring me a receipt, I'm reading it. What did you charge me for this? What did you charge me $6 for a Coke? Interesting. Well, this one said I had a Bud Light or something, and it was like $6. Not a big deal, but everything else on the order was correct. So the server came over. I said, this is my order, but I never had a Bud Light. I never had a beer. Oh, I put that on the wrong ticket. Did you? Did you? I can't help but wonder if maybe that's a little extra tip you're putting in your pocket. I don't know. I mean, technically it's the restaurant's inventory, but where does that extra $7 go for a product they never delivered to my table? I just don't know if that was a genuine mistake. And I was on the fence about maybe reaching out to the general manager in an email to say, you might want to watch this particular server and see if they keep adding drinks to people's bills without them noticing, or if this was a one-time thing, because I'm not sure I ever want to eat at your restaurant again. I've lost confidence now, and I don't know that everybody's in on it. This server could be acting independently. I don't know. And it very well could have been a very simple oversight that punched the wrong table number in. Very possible. And I assume that's probably what happened. But then I also wonder, what's to stop them from doing that on every table? How many people look at their receipts before they pay the bill, especially when it's within about $6? I was eating at Red Lobster, and the quality of the food was terrible. The bill for two of us to eat was over $100. The restaurant was empty. It was us and maybe two other folks in there eating. And the suggested tip it even stated the suggested tip is based on the total with sales tax. Wait a minute. So on a $125, $140 bill, there's over $10 in sales tax. So my bill's actually about $130. But you expect me to pay a percentage of the total with the tax on it? I'm tipping on the tax? Well, they're just suggested tips. And I thought about it and I'm like, well, you know, if it's a 20% tip on $130, it's $26. And if it's a 20% tip on $140, it's $28. There's a $2 difference, so I kept my mouth shut. But it's really offensive when things are so expensive right now. The quality of food's gone down. Service was great. They had nobody else to serve. And now I know why the restaurant's empty. And as I see Red Lobsters closing up around me, and Outback Steakhouse, they're closing up. Same thing, over $100 for dinner. I don't remember if their suggested tip was including tax. That's so offensive to me. Why would I tip on the government's bill? That's the weakest, most petty, nasty. There's a place called Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen. They've been doing that for years. I wrote to them. I said, this is ethically wrong. You should not be doing this. They said, hey, not everybody agrees with you. And I said, well, that's fine. I'll never eat at your restaurant again. Enjoy your $2. You've just lost my business for life. Well, they say you don't have to pay that. It's just recommended. I don't care. How much money, and I told them, I said, let's calculate out approximately how many tables you serve in a day, and that $2 per table, how much that accrues to over the course of a day, a week, a month, a year. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Don't tell me it's just $2. You're full of crap. I see exactly what you're doing. I'm not okay with it. And just because I've noticed it, what about all the other customers that come in and they're not paying attention? Probably the vast majority of people, they see the bill, it looks about right, they pay it. Who itemizes it? I do. I don't know anybody in my life that does that. I'm the only one I know. When I'm getting gas at the gas pump, I'm the only one I know that flips the mechanical thing that shuts the pump off with my hand while leaving the nozzle in the tank. I do that because the thing that's calculating how much gas you're paying for does it before it goes through the hose. So in other words, when you put the nozzle back into the gas pump, all the gas in that hose you've paid for. So how do you get the gas out of the hose? You shut the pump off by using your hand to activate, that it thinks the nozzle's been put back. And I tell it I want a receipt every time. Give me a receipt. Now I know the pump is off. Then I squeeze the handle and all the gas in the hose goes out into my tank, and I shake it and I get all the drips out of it because I don't want it to drip on the side of my car, not because I'm cheap. I just don't want gas dripping on the side of my car. So I hold it over the nozzle until the dripping kind of stops with the handle squeezed the entire time. And when I put the pump back, my hand is squeezing the pump and putting it back, and I have my receipt. If it says you have to go inside to get the receipt, I don't want the receipt. As long as it gives me either thing, I know the pump is off. Nobody can come in behind me and continue to pump gas. It's common sense, but I guess people don't know how gas pumps work. I mean, in theory, when you take the handle from the guy before you, all that guy's gas in the hose is yours for free because they left it in there. And when you put the handle back, they're now putting nails or screws that prevent the little flapper from shutting all the way, but the handle still sits, so the pump never shuts off. And you don't know that if you didn't ask for a receipt. You don't know. So then when you drive off, the bad guys come in behind you and they pick the handle back up, start filling up their cars. It's still on the same transaction. It never stopped. That's never happened to me. It never will. It's common sense. If you don't look out for yourself, nobody's looking out for you. I mean, I'm trying to look out for you, but I can't be there to do it for you. Mark Liebowitz said, I've had the misfortune to amass a fair amount of experience identifying and removing stealth instances of Screen Connect. I'll send an email about it when I have a chance. Yeah, I'd love to hear your stories, Mark, because those of us in this field, this may be more common than my own experience. 4 times in 2 years that's pretty damn common in my line of work. But I can't imagine, if I had a bigger clientele, and depending on what those, if I have a business that has 50 employees, I'd likely be seeing this more often. But my clients are small businesses. They don't have that many employees, and I don't have that many small businesses I can maintain because it's just me. So I'd love to hear your experiences if you want to share them with us. Mark Liebowitz said there are scams in the wild right now involving phony party invitations that look like they're from Evite and Punchbowl. One of the versions tricks the victim into installing Screen Connect. I think I received an email the other day for an invite, and it didn't say what the invite was for or who it was from. It was like a graphic thing that appeared in the email, and it says, click here to view the invitation. That goes right to my junk folder. I don't click that stuff. I hope you don't either, because I don't know who sent it. My name isn't specifically mentioned. And the invite for what? Graduation, birthday, retirement party? What is this? If I don't know anything about it, how good of a friend are they? Right? So here's the way I feel about that. Anytime somebody sends you an evite, or what you're calling Punchbowl here, I guess that's another one, never ever respond to those. Call the person on the phone and say, are you sending out an invite? Well, I don't click on those, but I'll be there. Or I just want to see if it was real, and then I'll click on it. Or I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to attend. But I would say there's a lot of fake evites going out, and it's a very dangerous way to invite people. If I were you, I'd be calling people. But that's why I'm calling you, to verify you did in fact send that. And you are basically encouraging your friends to get themselves infected, because if you're encouraging them to click on your evite and your evite follows a fake evite that they're going to click on now, that's your fault. As far as I'm concerned, that's your fault. You participated and encouraged it. And if you really care about your friends, you wouldn't do that. Stop using those evite services. Or send a separate email that says, is it okay if I send you an evite to my event? Ask for permission. Otherwise, don't expect a response. Great friends, huh? Rick Lakes joins us and says hello. Vibration sound official says you can use YubiKey. The problem with YubiKeys is if you lose your YubiKey, you've just locked yourself out. YubiKey is sort of like, you ever seen like Seinfeld? They're in a New York apartment, or any sitcom in a New York apartment, and they've got all these locks on the door. There are certain careers, maybe in accounting or FINRA regulations, that may require the data to be secured in that way. But for you to voluntarily put yourself through that misery and spend that money, you're likely going to, it's sooner or later be a situation where you've lost the YubiKey stops working, and you will effectively have locked yourself out in the most secure way possible. It would be very difficult for you to get out of that. And the fact that you spent the money and went through all the trouble, there's easier ways that are much more, that are effective enough. They're not more effective, but they're effective enough. The hackers are generally going after the easy prey. So if you make yourself an easy target, they're going after you for that reason. The minute you turn on two-factor authentication, the problem's stopped. When you go to YubiKey, you're overthinking it. Unless it's required by law, you should not be using it, in my opinion, unless you just are a masochist, have fun with it. You'll spend money and a lot of time, and eventually you will lock yourself out. It's every single YubiKey owner at some point will lock themselves out, and they paid money for that. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I would do, and I'd stay the hell away from that unless I was forced by law to use it. And like I said, some careers have governmental regulations that require it, in which case it's not your choice. Boss joins us in the chat, says hello. Andy says he pays cash for gas. Many charge. Yeah, that's true. Many stations do have a cash price versus a credit price, and you can save like 10 cents a gallon if you pay cash. Yep. Of course, when you have a lot of cash on you, if somebody's in line behind you and they see you pull out a wad of cash, they might just mug you in the parking lot very easily and quickly and subtly. Either pickpocket you. Once they identify how much, when you've exposed your wallet and where you've placed it, you're being watched, you may not realize it. And it only takes a second to mug you. And now that's cash, it's untraceable, and you've lost it forever. So I don't like to carry around a lot of cash. I was reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, his autobiography, and he mentioned that he was meeting James Cameron at a restaurant to talk about Terminator, and James Cameron's assistant, when the bill came, he said, to the assistant, pay the bill, and the assistant forgot the wallet. Uh-oh. And this is before James Cameron was as big as he was and Arnold was as big as he was. But Arnold was already a millionaire before he even became a movie actor because he invested in real estate. So he was already a millionaire. I think he still has the original office in Venice, California. But anyway, Arnold just so happened to have the cash on him, just by chance, and paid for the dinner. And James Cameron was really embarrassed about it. And Arnold said, from that day forward, I never leave the house without $1,000 of cash in my pocket at all times. Now, first of all, I wouldn't write that so everybody knows it. On the other hand, I wouldn't try and mug Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I suppose there's that, right? So there's a risk with everything, and you just have to decide what works best for you. So again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I do and why I do it. And if you find that to be useful, you're welcome to take it. If you find it to be terrible, you're welcome to ignore it. Margain says, I missed his member milestone. Hold on a minute. Where is that? Essential, working too hard. Now a member for 34 months as well. Will you look at that? Almost 3 years he's been a member now. He's at 34 months. I guess I didn't scroll back far enough, Mark. Where is it? Ah, there it is. Mark Gaines, another member for 50 months. Look at that, 50. He actually wrote, will you look at that? That's funny. If I read that subconsciously, that's exactly what I just said. 50 months, that is just incredible. Thank you so much to Lou Greenia, also a member for 50 months, Mark Gaines, and Mark Baggett's right there at 49 months today. And I think I saw one more that I've already... Oh, you know what? I can look somewhere else. I don't have to look in the chat. I can look in the YouTube studio under viewer activity. There we go. That's what I should have put up. Yeah, Mark Baggett's at 49 months. Lou Greenia is at 50 months. Mark Gaines is at 50 months. Gawoon Peter at 37. Patrick Manny is at 50 months. Albert Huston and Sean Gallagher renewed their memberships here. Essential Working Too Hard at 34 months. Thank you guys so much. Oral Virus says, I just ran Seraph Chrome Remote Desktop and ×2, yeah, because there are 2 installs for that. And Microsoft Quick Assist. I used WinHance, similar to Chris Titus's tool, to remove all bloat at the click of a button. What do you think? I like Chris Titus. I do like him, but I would never install or use any of his programs. Let me be very clear. I don't use system utilities that are not a part of Windows, except under extremely extraordinary circumstances that would be required for a specific scenario that's quite unusual. I would never use Revo uninstaller unless I had no choice to get something off. I would rather just reinstall that thing and then use its own uninstaller. Sometimes there are programs like Norton and McAfee that don't do a good job removing through the uninstaller, but they create their own uninstallers. McAfee and Norton both have a free uninstaller utility. That's the best piece of software they ever made. It's completely free. If you want to use these things, I'm not telling you not to use them. I'm telling you I don't use them. If a content creator creates any sort of a utility, stay the hell away from it, because there's no accountability for it. Any damages that happens, 6 months later, a Windows update won't install because they removed bloat that really wasn't bloat. See, they don't have a crystal ball. They don't know Microsoft plans, and Microsoft doesn't share those plans because they don't want their competitors to get a leg up on them. So something you think is bloat today may be necessary tomorrow, and you just screwed yourself because you trusted an influencer with the best of intentions and good faith. They screwed you. And there's nobody you can blame for that other than you. So Microsoft has pretty much everything you need already built into Windows 11. Now, if this was 1995, I would be saying something different. I would be recommending things like CCleaner and Glary Utilities and System Mechanic, anything from Iolo. These days, me personally, don't touch them. Stay the hell away from them. Keep them off my system. They're more trouble than they're worth. There's often a consequence to using their programs that you won't realize for months. And even months later, when a problem occurs, the odds of you figuring out that's what caused it, you're more likely going to blame Microsoft. You're going to say, oh, Microsoft broke my computer. No, you broke your computer, and you did it foolishly because you believed something to be true. And beliefs they don't get things fixed. You might as well just believe your computer's not broken if that's what you think. I believe this utility would help me, and now I believe 6 months later this Windows update broke my computer. Well, the Windows update broke your computer because of that program you ran 6 months ago that you've forgotten about, and now you don't even remember it unless somebody reminds you. So therefore, you are convinced and truly believe Microsoft caused this problem, and yet it's not on the news and it's not affecting millions of people. It's just affecting a handful of people that are on social media complaining that Microsoft update broke their system, and it wasn't Microsoft that did it. It was the individuals who are complaining most of the time cause their own problems, and they're completely ignorant of the fact that they did it to themselves because the influencer that they listen to is so trustworthy and meant well. So if you really want to take accountability, like at a corporate level, like a corporate IT level, if you want to treat your data like it's as important as a Fortune 500 company treats their data, then you won't do that anymore. Now, what you choose to do is your business. But somehow, and I just want you to think about this for a minute, somehow I am able to solve all computer problems with very few exceptions using my keyboard and mouse and the tools built into Windows. Period. Full stop. Now, if you think that makes me dumb because I'm working harder than just downloading utility, then you don't get it. And that's okay. You don't have to. I will use Revo Uninstaller, the portable version, maybe once every 2 years. I need it for something. And I don't just go through everything on the computer. Just that one thing. Once that's gone, I don't use Revo again to remove anything else. And it's a very dangerous tool. And look, you can play with dangerous tools. I'm not telling you not to. I want to emphasize I'm telling you what I do as a professional. And if you want to dismiss that, or you don't think that's valuable information, that is also your choice. But nothing against Christopher Tide. He's a good guy. I like him. He's well intended. So again, you can believe whatever you want to believe, okay? I work in the industry. I've been in this industry for 35 years. I tell you from professional experience, much more experience than most of you have. Maybe Mark Leibowitz or others in the industry have worked on the number of systems I've worked on over the last 3.5 decades. So if you want to disagree with me, you feel free to do so. I don't mind. The difference is when customers pay me and I tell them, they say thank you and they listen. When people get the information for free online, it has no value. So I understand that, and what you choose to do has no effect on me. If you want to dismiss what I'm telling you, dismiss it. I don't mind. But I'll tell you, the people that pay me, they don't dismiss what I tell them. The only difference is you're getting it for free. Interesting human psychology, isn't it? But you can do whatever you want on your computer. I'm not telling you what to do with your computer. I'm telling you what I would do. Okay. Does anybody have any questions regarding either the topic of today's show or anything unrelated, tech related, however, that you want to discuss? I'm happy to chat with you today. We still have about a half an hour on this show. It's Friday. I hope you're all going to have a great weekend ahead of you. It's hot, hot, hot. The sun doesn't go down here in Phoenix until about 8 o'clock before it's dusk. And it's still over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so I'm trying not to go anywhere. Or if I do have to go anywhere, like grocery shopping, I wait till after 8 o'clock. Rush hour is kind of quieted down. The sun is quieted down. The air conditioning in my car still doesn't work, and it's going to cost a lot of money. I just know it's going to cost. I mean, I'll kick myself if it's cheap, but I think it's going to cost over $1,000 to fix it. So that's, I got to deal with this until October. It sucks. Anything as far as chores, I don't want to do them. I've got some new lights to put outside. I just don't want to do it in this heat, and I don't want to do it in the dark. So finding excuses to stick around inside the house, and even just going out to the mailbox, I feel like I need to sit in front of a fan for a few minutes to cool off. I am seeing a little bit of glitchiness in the stream. OBS is saying my encoder is overloaded. I think that's happening because I'm running a beta of OBS, because we've never had a problems with the encoding before. And the reason I'm not changing it is the beta is getting updated about every 2 weeks. So I apologize for the glitches. That's on me. But I don't want to change encoding settings just for the final version to come out and resolve this problem. Maybe I shouldn't be using the beta, but this is why I use it. It seems a little temporary, and the only thing I can tell you that's changed is just the OBS version, and it's in a beta for a reason. And if the beta were to do something very seriously wrong, I would report it, but I can't. Someone else will report this. I'm not worried about it. If there's an encoding problem in the software, then it'll already be reported by other beta testers. I don't need to contribute to that. But that's why it's happening. AC's drafting with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Ron. That's Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. Scott Messerschmidt joins us. Mark Baggett said 86 degrees Fahrenheit and humid here in Massachusetts. I don't know how I would be, but we have almost zero humidity. It's so low here that the slightest humidity is probably going to make me miserable. So instead of being miserable because it's hot, I'll be miserable because it's humid. One thing's for sure, I'll be miserable. AC's drafting said, I found out why I could not send super chats before. My VPN wouldn't let me. You've no reason to use a VPN on YouTube. That's silly. When Peter says broken AC, that's hot then. Well, it's in the car. I mean, if it was in the house, it'd be unlivable. You'd have to go stay at a hotel. But in the car, you know, especially when the sun goes down, just roll the windows down. It's hot air, but it's still a lot more tolerable. Boy, it's nothing worse, though, if the sun is setting and it takes like a half an hour, 45 minutes where you're just driving straight into the sun if you're driving west. And now it's hot, the windows are down, and you can't see anything. It's just in Arizona, the sky is usually blue with no clouds, and there's very few trees or shade. So basically, the sun just bores down on you relentlessly. There's no escaping it other than get into a building. With AC working in the car, it's still warm, but it's nowhere near as torturous. But it is what it is. I'll get around to it. You know, maybe when it's cold, I'll get the AC fixed. Maybe I just trade the car in. I don't know. I don't know. It sucks, though. I'm getting too old. When I got my first car at 16 years old, that car had no air conditioning. But I was a lot younger and I could tolerate it. It was no big deal. I was just happy to have a car. Now, every year I get older, every year it gets hotter. And my tolerance to it is just shrinking. What are you going to do? I just try and stay inside. Andy wants to know if there's any news on the KVM front. Yes. GLINet makes the Comet Q. They just went through PVT, or product validation testing. That's a process in manufacturing. You've got this line of product, right, coming down the line, and you need to validate everything is coming off the line correctly. It's a critical key and a very important milestone to hit before shipping a physical product is validating. And so it literally went through the validation testing this week, which means it's this close from shipping. With regards to Cypede, the Nano, what do they call it? The Nano Go is the competitor. It's like half the size and half the price. Neither one of them are out yet. They're both, I think they're still both available on Kickstarter. Just go to Kickstarter and type in KVM and see the results if you want to back them and be an early adopter. Because these are new products, you can expect they're not going to work very well or as well as they should, probably for the first 6 months of you'll be getting updates. If you wait until, let's say if they ship next month, I think they're both going to ship in August, then likely by February, the major bugs anyway, should be worked out. And they'll probably be available to buy on Amazon. You know, here's an interesting thing I learned today. This is fresh news. Let me go back over here and I'll show you. Check this out. Pretty major announcement, and I never saw this coming, but I'm happy. If you go to Minis Forum, just go to their website, look what they're promoting today. No, I didn't want to go to support. I just wanted to go to minisforum.com. Let's try that and delete that. That's what I want. And what you see here on this page, I just missed it. Best Buy debut. You can't see. Why is this? Available across the US. Learn more. Let's do the learn more. Yeah. It took us to bestbuy.com. So you can order a couple of Minis Forum PCs right from Best Buy here in the United States. How the hell did they pull that off? You won't find Ace Magic, Hamrui, Paladin, Wowie, Geekom, or GMK Tech available at Best Buy. I mean, if anybody, maybe Geekom, but I'm pretty sure Minis Forums. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, they have Geekom. What about Ace Magic? You know, I can't help but wonder that this isn't a third party. Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. Yeah, that's got to be third party. You see where it says pickup? You see how it's shaded out? I think the difference is with Miniswarm, they're actually in the stores. You can actually go to the store and pick it right up off the shelf versus third party sellers. So here it says shipping. Well, I didn't pick a store though, did I? It just says a zip code that's not mine. So I guess there's only 2 models available in store. The rest of these will be mail ordered. So these would be third party selling. Best Buy is doing the whole Newegg in Amazon thing where they're allowing third parties apparently. And Walmart's doing it too. It's a great way to get ripped off. When you're buying something from Walmart from a third party seller and Walmart says, too bad, we didn't sell it, even though you bought it from Walmart's website. So when I see Ace Magic listed here, that's obviously ordering through third party. But the fact that Miniswarm has it in store now. Let me see if I can find a news article. Miniswarm, Best Buy in store. Big news, Miniswarm has finally arrived at Best Buy. Okay, is it going to let me see that without a login? Looks like there's 2 models, the UM870 Slim and the UM760 Slim. And you can pick them up in store. Just those 2. All the other ones, those would be mail order, third party. The third party being Miniswarm Direct, which, you know, why go through Best Buy? If you're going to mail order it, why not just mail order it from the manufacturer? So I think that's pretty damn cool. That just got released 14 hours ago, that news. That's how fresh that is. So good for them. I'm happy for them. Hopefully they'll expand into more of their models at local Best Buy stores so that Miniswarm becomes more of a household name. As long as it's mail order only, most people, other than like people who watch my videos, ever heard of them. But the minute that they can go in the retail stores, they'll get known. And he said he's still using the Cypede Nano KVM Desk Pro every night to control the ADreamer RE Box 10 that runs his WSPR. I don't know what WSPR is. But yeah, I still use the remote tools myself. I'm seeing GLINet constantly updating both the Comet and the Comet Pro are getting regular updates every couple weeks. Jet KVM is getting a new update pretty much every 2 weeks. The Arc KVM has been getting updates, and the Pico KVM has now got built-in updates. You don't have to do the whole imaging anymore. Now it says check for updates, and it just updates itself like it should, like everybody else. So everybody's getting there. The slowest developer, I think, is Pico KVM has been the slowest. Jet KVM, as old as it is, they're releasing more updates more often than anybody else right now. I don't know what they're doing. The thing works great. It's been working great for a year, so I don't know what these updates are for. But of course, I install them. And I go ahead and turn on the beta updates too. So that may be why I'm seeing so many frequent updates. But the Nano KVM and Nano KVM Pro, they haven't had an update over a month. We're going to be going on 2 months, which is fine. You know, that tells me they're done, right? There's nothing left to do. It's not like there's security issues or anything like that. They're just adding and enhancing the current feature set. So that's why I'm not noticing anything from these updates, because I don't need to use, you know, OpenClaw or AI agents and things. I don't care about it. But I'll still get the update just because. Just because. Maybe I'll change my mind. I don't know. They all work great, and I'll be looking forward to the Comet Q and the Nano Go but I do expect them to be a little rough around the edges for the first 6 months. What's great with those units I just mentioned is they're one cable, just one USB-C cable. And that means that the computer you plug it into has to support video output through the USB-C. Well, it's got to have USB-C to begin with, and it's got to support DisplayPort out. That means it'll work on a tablet, it'll work on a phone, it'll work on pretty much all the Mac devices, and it'll work on a lot of these mini PCs and laptops. And it's just one cable, it connects wirelessly, you're good to go. So for me, that's not going to work on all my machines. There's some machines that don't have that ability. But most of them, especially the newer ones, I love the idea of just plug it in one cable. Sign me up. The Nano KVM Pro, I'm only plugging in 2 cables. So it's not like, wow, what a difference. But yeah, it's connecting through my wireless network. It's powered through the USB that it needs to have to control the keyboard and mouse anyway. It's just not accepting display out, so I have a separate HDMI cable for that. And that's it. Other than that, 2 cables, I'm good to go. Unless it's a Comet. The Comet needs 4 cables. So the wireless version, the Comet Pro, needs 3 cables. It's too many cables. And the Comet Q, much like the Nano Go, that should just run off one USB-C cable. Assuming your Type-C USB port supports display out, you're good to go. So again, if you want to help somebody with their phone, like you have a parent, and you could give this to the parent and have them plug it into the USB-C on their phone, and then using your phone, you can connect to their phone, or using your computer, using any internet-connected device with a browser, you can connect to their phone. You don't have to physically go over there and show them anymore. Could be quite handy for some of us, yeah? Boss says if you're going to buy from a third-party seller on Walmart, look for a pro seller label. It's a good tip. Better yet, just don't buy from there. Just go to Amazon and be done with it. That's what I say. One thing I have not brought up here that many of you may already be aware of is the built-in sandbox in Windows 11 Pro and Windows 10 Pro. The reason I haven't brought it up is I kind of feel like if you don't know what that is, you probably won't use it or see the benefit of it. And if you do know what it is, you're probably already using it. But the Windows Sandbox is just an install of Windows 11 that runs in a window. And you can't copy anything into it or out of it. So if you're messing with something that might be a virus, somebody sends you a link and you don't know if the link is dangerous. I don't use the Windows Sandbox. If I think the link is dangerous, I delete the email. If it's that important, they'll find another way to reach me, okay? For the most part, it's curiosity that killed the cat. But if we jump over here, I think we have Windows 11. Of course we have Windows 11 on. You basically have a built-in virtual machine that you may not be aware of. Nothing can enter or leave the sandbox. So you can't install anything in it that, you know, the minute you close the sandbox, whatever you installed goes away. So if I just close all this for a minute, let's close this too. And this I need to look into a little bit more. So secure will stay in the system tray. Very good, I like it. Okay, let's just come down here and type in the word sandbox. It says turn Windows features on or off, right? So why is that coming up? Well, because apparently the sandbox is not installed by default, but it is part of Windows by default. You just have to turn it on. So if we look here, I think it's just called, what do they call it? Windows Sandbox. See that? Turn that on. And it's just a feature that has to be enabled. Once we enable it, you're not required to use it. And it's not telling us anything right now, so we just have to be patient. I think is it down here? There it goes. Takes it a second. It's thinking. And it's basically pulling it out of the Windows installation files, and it needs a restart. So let's go ahead and restart the computer now. And you only have to do this once. If you ever want to remove it, again, just go back to turning Windows features on or off and uncheck the box. In fact, you might even want to look through that list if there's anything in there you might want that you didn't know was there this whole time, though I suspect most of you already know this. And those of you who don't know it, might be because it's over your head. It wouldn't be anything you would use anyway. But there may be somebody out there that said, I would use that if I knew it was there. Okay, so for you, this information is for you if you fit that description. So when Windows comes back up now, we now have this sandbox that we can play in that is a Windows 11 running inside of Windows 11. It runs like Microsoft Word, or it runs like any other application you install in Windows. It just happens to be this application we're going to run in Windows is Windows. That way we can make changes to Windows without making any changes to our real Windows. You following this? Try to think of an easier way to explain it, but it's a sandbox. I think its name kind of says, you know, you play in the sandbox. Okay? We could have called it a litter box. That would be just as accurate. You poop in there and walk away. But I guess it's more politically correct to call it a sandbox. So it takes a minute to install, but it's essentially installing a virtual Windows 11 as a program. So it doesn't run unless you run it. And when it does run, you can do whatever you want in there. You can't save anything. So as soon as you close it, it's all gone forever. So if you want to open a remote access Trojan, open it in the sandbox. Let it infect it. When you close the sandbox, it's like shaking an Etch-a-Sketch. It's gone. When you reopen the sandbox, your Etch-a-Sketch has been shaken. You start over again. How's that? Does anybody not know what an Etch-a-Sketch? Oh, I just aged myself. All right, what can you do? So again, you know, it's a pretty fast computer, and this does take a minute to install, but it is free. It's always been there since Windows 10. And you can always search on YouTube for a little bit more detail and examples on how to use it if it's new to you and you want to learn more. I'm just making an introduction for those of you who haven't already met the sandbox. I personally do not use it. Mara uses it all the time. Take your pick. When somebody sends me a link and I'm curious about it, I delete it. When somebody sends Mara a link, she opens the link in the sandbox. It's never once rewarded her. It's never once been anything important. Never. It's always a waste of time. But she enjoys satisfying that curiosity and does so in a safe way. It's never, I don't think it's ever saved her, because she wasn't going to open it anyway. And then when she does open it, I don't think she's ever once said, oh, it's a good thing I opened it in the sandbox because it's real. No. She knows when she's opening it in the sandbox it's bad. She's just curious how bad it really is. So if you want to play with fire and matches, you know, have fun. I've got other things to do. But again, that's not for me to decide for you. I can make you aware, and then what you choose to do with the information is entirely up to you. And this is taking a little bit longer than I thought it would take. And I'm showing you live and in real time, so you know what to expect if you choose to activate this feature. It doesn't cost you anything but your time. And this is a one-time process. Once it does this, you're good to go. Whenever you close the sandbox, it instantly closes and everything's instantly erased. Whenever you open the sandbox, it opens clean and reset, just like shaking the Etch-a-Sketch every time when you're done with it, so that every time when you start with it, it's always a blank slate. And you cannot change that. That is its permanent operating practice. There's no workaround for it. Now, you could have access to a network share or something to copy files to or from. You'd be kind of foolish to do that, in my opinion. But it is possible to get files in or out of the sandbox. However, it requires a little bit more configuration. And then when you close the sandbox, you lose the configuration. You'd have to reconfigure it every single time. And the idea is that nothing escapes the sandbox. It's like a jail cell. We want to enclose whatever it is we're checking, a website, a link, for example, that leads you to a download. That's really where you would bring in any sort of programs, is through the browser. And then you would test them in your sandbox. And then if you like it, then you know it's safe. And if you don't like it, or you were just curious, you can verify just how nasty it was. And you close your sandbox and everything resets back to zero. This has always been a thing, using virtual machine and installing your own Windows, right? Plenty of you have already done that in years past. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. But now it's a feature built into Windows. As Microsoft, adopts what a lot of people are doing with third-party software, they're building it into Windows, so you don't need the third-party software anymore. Back in the day, you couldn't change a partition without partitioning software. That's all built into Windows now. So Microsoft kind of gobbles up or absorbs or recreates utilities like CCleaner and Glare utilities. Microsoft has PC Manager that's completely free, that does a much better job. And Microsoft knows not to break their own stuff. Microsoft knows that what you think is bloat is actually a feature that's not yet been enabled, and you just screwed yourself. Nobody knows that but Microsoft. CCleaner doesn't know, Glare doesn't know what the hell's going on inside of Microsoft and what their future plans are. So the consequences are yours, not Microsoft's. So if you use Microsoft tools and they're free, but you just didn't know they existed, you eliminate almost 100% of any consequences. So right now, 97% there. What it's doing is it's basically installing a virtual machine. It's installing a clean install of Windows as a virtual machine, and configuring the virtual software to load the virtual machine. And that's why it's taking so long. However, when you consider it's a complete new installation of Windows 11 from scratch, pre-configured into a virtual machine that's also being installed and configured to not allow anything to leave that sandbox, it's actually a pretty fast process. And I want to emphasize, this is just a one-time setup. So once you get this out of the way, it's pretty instantaneous with opening it like any other big application on your computer, but a lot less complicated than setting up your own virtual machine by hand, which I'm sure many of you have already done anyway. This is for everyone else. So we're just about there. I'm going to ramble on to fill the empty space until we get that final 3%. Let me check the chat room while we're waiting. Nick Caffrey, now a supporter for 30 months, says, happy to see everyone still supporting Carey and Marlena. Still the only channel that can be trusted long term. Thank you, Nick. And there's Mara evangelizing the sandbox. Mara loves her sandbox, okay? Let's make sure everybody knows. Frankie B says the PC might be downloading updates in the background. No, this PC won't be. We will get updates this Tuesday. But this computer was fully updated just about 3 or 4 days ago. Easy Otter said it's a grayed out option on my PC. It may be that your CPU doesn't have the ability to do a virtual machine, or you're running Windows 11 Home. I could ask Gemini, just out of curiosity, why is Windows Sandbox grayed out in my Windows features menu. Let's see what the Gemini says. First of all, Windows 11 Home doesn't support it. You've got to be running Pro, Enterprise, or Education Edition. Or you don't have hardware virtualization enabled in your BIOS. So you'd go into your BIOS and look for either Intel virtualization technology. Sometimes it's listed as Intel VT-X for Intel CPUs, or it's called SVM mode for AMD CPUs. That stands for Secure Virtual Machine. In order for the Windows sandbox to effectively be able to run, you need a 64-bit CPU with at least 2 cores. 4 cores with hyperthreading is recommended. Of course, you need 4 gigs of RAM minimal, but 8 gigs is highly recommended. So I suppose I'd have to ask, what CPU do you have and what version of Windows are you using? Is it Home or Pro, and which CPU? Yeah, Terrell Cochran also mentions virtualization could be disabled in the BIOS. Correct. Well, it says our 100% there, but we don't seem to be 100% there yet, even though it says we are. Don't be afraid to open Gemini or Copilot or ChatGPT. Don't be afraid to search other YouTube videos from other content creators that are a bit more into the nuts and bolts than I like to dig into. I like to keep my videos easily digestible for all levels of experience, and other YouTube content creators say this is for experts only, others need not apply. I don't like that, but it's their channel, and if they want to just be elitists and gatekeep, I'm sure that others at that level appreciate the information, and others not at that level have no interest in watching that content. Okay, here we go. Oh, I was watching a delayed feed. My bad. Okay, so it's been waiting on me. Let's opt out of backup and skip for now. Okay. So now I'm going to type in Sandbox. And right here, this option appears as an app called Windows Sandbox. And when I click it, what I'm doing is I'm starting an instance of Windows 11 inside of Windows 11. Now, at this point, you think after all that time, it would have already downloaded everything. But it needs updates like anything else. So again, we're back to waiting for a moment. Hopefully that's not going to take too long. And you'll see this loading screen. And a window opens of Windows inside of Windows. There it is. So anything we want to do in here, if we want to download a virus, it won't leave this box. If I want to browse my network, it's not going to let me. Like I said, there are workarounds, but it won't save those workarounds. But if we go here and go to the network, and we'll say, turn this on, it doesn't show anything on the network but this computer. This is not a real computer. This is a virtual computer that's running this Windows inside of this real computer that's really running Windows. It's a clone. So by all intents and purposes, from anybody, like if I was going to deal with a scammer online, I would just let them connect remotely to the Windows Sandbox. They would never know. They're not going to see where it says Windows Sandbox. They'd have to remote into my main computer to see this. All they're going to see is the desktop. They can't tell the difference. Now, there might be a way, maybe if they were a smart scammer, that they could look in the network properties. Maybe the system properties will give away something. Let's see. It says a utility account. So a scammer might recognize that. Notice it says storage is 0 gigs and installed RAM is 4 gigs because you tell this how much RAM you want it to allow. And it says right here, virtual machine. But most scammers are complete morons. They wouldn't know to look for that, just so you know. And there's likely a way to adjust the RAM assignment. Guess I'm going to have to ask. Let's open up a browser in our virtual machine, and you'll see it works exactly the same. But nothing can leave. Nothing can touch our hard drive. Nothing can ever be saved. When we close the sandbox, just for example, let's say I infected this with a bunch of viruses. Warning, are you sure? Because once you close it, everything's discarded and permanently lost. Then you start it up again, it's fresh and clean. So if you're training somebody, it's a great way to train them. So if we go to Gemini.google, you got to spell it right, .google.com. How do I assign more RAM to Windows 11 Sandbox? Let's see what it says, because I'm not sure. I don't use it. I just absolutely don't. I think this is a waste of time. But you might find some joy in it. A great way to learn. By default, the Windows Sandbox launches a lightweight virtual machine capped at 4 gigs. To give it more memory, you need to launch it using a custom Sandbox configuration file. It's a WSB file. So you'd open Notepad, you'd create an XML code. You just copy that by hitting the copy button. And here they're assigning the memory to 8 gigs, 8192. How do you get to 8192? The memory always doubles, right? 2 gigs, 4 gigs, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048. 2048 becomes 4096, and 4096 doubled is 8192. 8192 doubled is 16384. 16384. You've seen these numbers all the time. You may not have realized they're just doubling in on each other. All on a, it's just double. Same with solid state storage drives. You can buy a 128 gig flash drive or NVMe or 256. Keep doubling it. 512, 1024, that'd be 1 gig. 2048, that'd be 2 gigs. 4096 would be 4 gigs. 8192 would be 8 gigs. 16384 would be 16 gigs. Keep going, you know what I'm saying? And eventually you loop back around and you start over again with the same math over and over. All right. So they just want us to edit this file. And where is the file located? Open Notepad. Okay. Well, I can't do that in the virtual machine. I'd have to do that on the real machine. You'd copy this, and then you're going to save the file to where? Oh, you double click on the file that you just saved, and it automatically launches the sandbox because it associates WSB. Probably stands for Windows Sandbox, if I had to guess. Some of this stuff is so obvious, it shouldn't need to be explained if you think about it for a minute. So in theory, I mean, if we try this, because I've never done it before, but this totally makes sense. If we open Notepad here, what is this? Oh, this was my Flex server on the Minis Forum NAS. All right, let's open a new one. Let's paste this file. Let's save it as configuration.wsb, and let's put it WSB. Let's put it on the desktop. Save. Should appear here. There it is. Notice it's already got the Windows Sandbox file icon association. Let's close this. It's fine. See how fast it closes? Now let's click on the one I just made, and now it should open. It only loads Windows. You don't have a choice. And now when I go to my system properties, it should say there's 8 gigs of RAM available. Ta-da! See how easy that is? So if you're like in there and you're like, it seems a little slow, it seems a little laggy, you just share a little bit more RAM with it. Do whatever you want in here, have fun, knock yourself out, and when you close it, say goodbye to all your hard work. It's all gone. No way to get it back. Permanently deleted. You want to start it again, it starts fresh and clean. Every time you close it, you're shaking the Etch-a-Sketch. David Graham would have to verify he's using Windows 11 Pro and tell us what CPU he has, and or Google your CPU to see if it's got the virtualization technology built into it. Depends how old your computer is, David. I'd say if it's 8th gen or newer. Remember when people thought, oh, Windows 11 only needs this stuff because Microsoft just made it up? No, you're starting to understand. And where old computers are really becoming insecure and obsolete is they're just not capable of advanced security processes. And as the time marches forward, this is going to become less of an option and more of a requirement. As such, Windows 11 requires it on day one, not when you need it. It requires it before you need it. So if you've circumvented Windows requirements to get Windows 11 installed, you just screwed yourself. I've been telling you that all along. It just takes a little time until you get there. On the other hand, if you have a more modern CPU and it does support virtualization, it may be just as simple as what David Graham is suggesting, and that's turning that on in the BIOS. But it should be on by default anyway, unless you turned it off.
Never, ever, ever disparage the sandbox. Or
Don't disparage the sandbox or you'll kick me.
I will kick you.
Listen, if you want to play in a sandbox, have fun.
I do. Daily.
I've got other things to do.
Thank you.
Somehow I get through every day without having to play in a sandbox.
Well, that's because I'm doing all the work for you.
I was doing all the work before you came along and still didn't ever use a sandbox.
Apparently you weren't doing it right. But you have email.
Laura is chewing me out.
Yeah, and you have email.
I'll tell you what, you do things your way.
I absolutely
Maybe you like a little extra salt on your food, and maybe I think it's too salty. And you say, well, this salt is delicious, and you don't know what you're in. I'm saying you can have as much salt as you want. I don't want any. It doesn't make you right, and it doesn't make me right.
I don't care.
It is a personal preference.
Blah, 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 blah. Check your email.
She's like, la, 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 la.
Email.
Check my email. What do we got? A PayPal contribution comes in from Nick Caffrey with $25. Thank you, Nick. Is there a message? Yes, he says, thanks, Carey and Mara, for being there, even when everything is calm. My RAM was €95 when I purchased it in 2024, and now that same RAM costs €480. More importantly, my PC is stable and does what I want. Carey's input was the key to that. Thank you, Nick. I'm glad that we could be helpful. I'm glad that you heard and considered what I had to say to make a decision rather than some people choosing to argue. I don't want to argue. I'm just telling you, like I've said many times, what I do as a professional tech. And the people who listen to that typically say thank you. And the people who don't listen to it oftentimes argue. And I'm not there to argue. I'm not interested in playing that game. It's something people with a lot more time on their hands than I have. When they want to work as my peer alongside of me, accepting my responsibilities and timelines, budget constraints, pressures, and doing work you don't want to do, but you have to because it's your job, then we'll talk. But until then, people are welcome to enjoy their pork-flavored ice cream. I won't be having any. I think I'll stick with chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry, chocolate chip, chocolate mint. But pork flavor, if I'm not there, you enjoy that without me. I'm not going to argue with you about it. So thank you, Nick. I appreciate your support, your kind words, and your generosity. And I'm glad we were able to help you. I want to remind you that this information is not new. I've just decided that, I would rather focus my time on mini PCs and networking and other infrastructure critical information. But now that things have slowed down and I've reconsidered the value of information given my timeline, and just the way today's broadcast was, been so informative regarding these remote access Trojans, a Windows sandbox is related to that. Because let's say, for example, you're searching the web and you're encountering a website that is presenting some kind of a pop-up and you don't know if that's real or not. Well, if you just stop what you're doing and do this interesting curiosity browsing in the sandbox instead, then you're free to explore. And if it turns out that it's a remote access Trojan and it installs in the virtual machine, you just close the window. It erases it, and you restart the sandbox and continue exploring the web without consequences. On the other hand, if you're trying to log into your bank and pay bills, you don't want to do that on the virtual machine. You want to do that on your machine. But again, it's not that you couldn't. Just be doing a thing in a more difficult way that doesn't offer you really any benefit other than making it more complex. But if you didn't know, you have options. Now you know. And if you want to learn more about it, because I'm just scratching the surface, there's a lot more that you can learn if we, let me go back over here, for example, and show you if we go to, I don't know, let's go to YouTube. Whoops. We'll go here. Oh, who's that? Party rock anthem singers. Who is that? Lauren Bennett. Never heard of her. Only 36 years old. Sorry, squirrel moment. So let's go to YouTube. YouTube. And let's look for Windows 11 Sandbox. And there's a tutorial right there. Well, there's a bunch of them. And many of these are several years old. This has been around a long time. Dave's Garage, Dave Plummer, an original programmer on the Windows operating system, not on Windows 11, but he's a programmer. And just 11 months ago, he's covered this, and this is the first time seeing it. I don't know these other guys. I don't know who this is. I don't know who. Do I want to trust somebody named Windows Chimp? And that's 4 years old. I don't know electronics and computers. I don't know who that is. So the first thing I'm looking for is somebody familiar and trustworthy, and that would be Dave Plummer. That's the video I would watch. It looks like it's, oh look, Malware Bytes is advertising. Let's see, I'm gonna say no thanks to that. How long is this video? It's only 11 minutes. And he'll probably tell you more in those 11 minutes than I've been telling you about it in the last 30 minutes. So just so you know. Okay. So I hope I set you on your own. And there's a how-to on how to get this installed on Windows 11 Home. So somebody must have a hack. That's not kosher, but okay. Okay. I don't know. I haven't watched it, but that's sketchy. That's all I gotta say. Not sure I want to mess with sketchy security, but that's just me, I suppose. And once more, let's get back over to camera one. Mark Gaines says, Carey, I swapped out the Sapphire 7700 XT Pure GPU on Project Zero for an RX 9070 XT. And would you say that that was worth it? Do you notice a difference? I want to give you an opportunity again if there's a comment or a question that you were trying to get my attention on. We're just about 20 minutes over. You know, I like to wrap this up at around 2 hours. We're 2 hours and 20 minutes right now. I'll give it another 10 minutes just for everybody to have an opportunity to get my attention. I'm more than happy to address your question or your comment if I see it. And when I'm doing other things full screen, I cannot see the chat. And sometimes I'm away from the chat full screen for 20 minutes. And you know, whatever chat happened in those 20 minutes scrolls to a certain point, it scrolls off the top. So if I failed to acknowledge a question or a comment, please just copy and paste it right back in so I can see it now. Okay. I want to remind you, it's always a pleasure to hear from you guys. If you have any comments, questions that you want to talk to us about privately, just send us an email. We're very transparent, easy to get a hold of, and our email address right here on the screen. Mara sits on top of that email like a hawk. So you'll usually get a response relatively quickly, depending on time of day, usually damn near instantaneously, and sometimes, you know, if we're sleeping, within 8 hours, usually. Certainly, if you haven't gotten a response in 24 hours, likely you didn't send the email to the right address. You typoed, you inverted some letters. If that were to happen, you know, check your sent items, make sure and verify you sent to the correct address. Try sending it again. And of course, you're always welcome to pop into our chat room and say, hey, are you not getting my emails? Because how would we know otherwise? But you're certainly welcome to reach out to us privately using that email address at any point. You want to share an experience you've had. We don't want to see funny memes and funny videos. Please don't waste your time. We want to conduct business. So if you need some help, you're looking for some direction, or you're looking for some advice, if you want to share your own experience, don't send us news clips. Don't send us links to what other people are saying. We're not interested in gossip. We already know the news. It's part of my job. So please don't abuse it. But when you do truly and sincerely need some help, guidance, advice, maybe you're looking to purchase a mini PC from us and you're in the United States, you're wondering if it's available for sale, it won't hurt you to ask. Other emails probably will just be ignored if you're not going to follow our request. We just won't respond to you. Okay, so you might mean well, but we just don't have time. We get overburdened with, we're trying to separate the wheat from the chaff here. Okay, so I understand. This is funny. I wanted you to see it. That's great and everything, and I appreciate it. But let's try and separate business from personal. That way, we're not distracting us away from helping somebody who sincerely needs our help. And it's just a request to be respectful to the value of our time. And, you know, it would help us out a lot to not have to filter it out if we never had it. Okay? Because we're going to filter it if you send it. You're sending me a meme, you're sending me, hey, look at this funny video. I don't have time for it. It's going to get filtered out. You're not doing me any favors. But for everyone else, if you sincerely have a question for yourself, or you want to share your own personal experience, not somebody else, please do. We love hearing from you. Nick Capri says it's an informative video as usual. Gotta go. Thanks, Carey and Mara. See you again soon. Right on. Thank you, Nick. Of course, a shout out to Mara, our channel administrator. She does our thumbnails for us. She does our video descriptions. She's reached out to a couple of mini PC manufacturers I've never heard of before. And we'll see if we can work out something and get some more products to review. I'm a little sick of reviewing mini PCs at this point. So I'm happy to talk about literally anything else just for a few weeks so I can, you know, refresh. But Sunday, what do I have on the schedule for Sunday? I have no idea. We may do an Ask Me Anything, or maybe something will come up, just like this whole virus thing came up earlier this week, and it became the topic for today's show. I did not know before that happened what today's show was going to be about. And I think the same, I won't know what Sunday's show is going to be about until we get there. But if you have ideas for content, if you want to know something or you think we should do a video on it, and if we can, that's something you could send to us in email. You could also just leave it under the comment section of the video. We'll see it either way. Andy says it's a nice change of pace. Well, thank you, Andy. I know you love the mini PCs. And we're not abandoning them. We're just trying to take a breather. Well, we don't have a choice anyway, quite frankly. Couldn't do them if we wanted to. Thank you for everybody who renewed your memberships. Thank you to Mark Gaines, Nick Caffrey, Buster, for your contributions. Did I skip any money? Frankie B just sent in a contribution. Thank you so much, Frankie. He says, great video as always. Frankie, very generous man. Thank you so much. Glad I checked that. That almost got by me, Frankie. And yeah, you guys are what's keeping us in business right now. YouTube ad revenue is basically gone. I mean, it's so little. I can show you revenue earnings in 30 days of about 75 cents a day here on YouTube, maybe $1 a day. Can't live off of that, not even close. But as long as we have our members, supporters, the generosity of you guys with PayPal, Amazon gift cards, and just your memberships, we're squeaking by, and we'll keep squeaking by, and hopefully things will eventually kind of go back. I feel like maybe the spring is getting compressed, and hopefully we'll still be standing when everybody else has gone away for financial reasons. Because of you, we'll still be standing, and hopefully can pick it up and run immediately. And I like to think of it as an investment, and we're just waiting for the market to turn around. And gosh, I hope it doesn't take much longer, because this is painful. I mean, just the lack of new NASs, and the lack of new mini PCs, and the lack of new networking components, and the lack of new anything in technology it was for years so hard to keep up with it. And now I'm looking behind me, realizing there's nothing in front of us anymore. I hope that's not the new normal. I think it's going to come back. I just don't know if it's 6 months, if it's 12 months, if it's next week. I have no idea. The RAM situation, the GPU situation, and the storage situation, don't have a crystal ball. But I'm sure there's other things we can talk about, and we're interested in your ideas for that. If there's something we can, if it's possible for us to do it, feel free to send your ideas our way. And just because if we don't accept your idea, don't take that personally. I can guarantee the answer is no if you don't ask, right? But sometimes the answer isn't no because of a feeling. It's no because it's just not possible for us. So I don't want you to take it personally, and I don't want you to be discouraged from submitting idea after idea after idea, because if in fact what you're submitting are things we can't do, keep trying, and we will appreciate it very much when you strike on the one idea like, hey, Carey, you should make a video on the Windows 11 sandbox. Nobody ever suggested that, not that I recall. And when we had other pressing issues to deal with, we didn't have time. But now we have time. Okay, so that right there has changed things. Andy says the mini palooza was a long-term fix. No withdrawal symptoms yet. Go good. Good. The Money Green says, I need help on tracking hackers. You know, there are channels that focus on that, like Kit Boga. Who's the guy? Man, I can't think of his name. If you go to YouTube and under the YouTube search, type in something like scamming scammers. Let's see if I can do this. Scamming scammers. There's about a half dozen gentlemen out there. Scammer Payback is the name of a channel. Nano Baiter. Somebody I'm missing. I'm thinking of Scammer Payback and Kit Boga. Those are your two big ones. And Pleasant Green is kind of funny. Pleasant Green has a YouTube channel. Anyway, if you search scammers on YouTube and you want to learn how to track headers and things like that, that's the community that does that kind of work. I don't do that. That's more what we would refer to as forensics in the industry. Just like I don't write code. I'm not a developer. I don't do database. Right? In IT, you have cybersecurity, you have all these different departments: network architecture, system administration, desktop support. I'm more along the lines of desktop support in a more advanced level, and Windows internals and hardware diagnostic and repair is sort of my specialty, because that's what I like. That's what I enjoy doing. It doesn't mean that's all I know, but that's what I consider myself an expert in. And I feel like I really need to be an expert in something to be talking about it. I mean, I might mention something I don't know much about, like these forensics you're asking about, and refer you to the proper resource that I would go to if I wanted to learn about it. I feel that's the responsible way to answer those questions that are not within my purview. Yeah, Mark Ainscott, Scammer Payback. Thank you, Mark. Oh, Jim Browning. Yeah. Jim Browning, another great person that, you know, does scammer-related education. Gary Tatum mentions Kit Boga is hilarious. Well, he's hilarious if you're not the scammer on the other end of the phone. That kind of makes it funnier. All right. So that is going to wrap it up. Andy was wondering if he's cured of his mini PC addiction. Morris says there's no cure. Andy says, very true. I just have to learn to live with it. You just have to manage you can't cure the disease. You just have to manage that. It's a chronic illness that never goes away. Mark Jackson said, I only watch casually, but I like the accuracy of your information. You might stand out since a lot of people have shifted to content talking about AI. Well, the YouTube algorithm isn't helping, let me tell you. But because I don't rely on advertising revenue and views, I rely on a community to support me. I am free of those chains. Where these other content creators, they don't have any choice. It's the community here that enables me to do what I'm doing. And the YouTube algorithm, if it works in my favor, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. And if everybody wants to talk about AI and they're getting more views than I am, then that's a fad that'll pass in a few months. And you know, what I'm establishing is more of a long game where I become a trusted resource. Since I started this YouTube channel in 2009, I think it was January, like right in the beginning of 2009, I have done nothing but the same content, educating, showing, using simple English, plain English, analogies, so everybody can easily understand it, helping viewers with their computer problems, their computer questions, demonstrating repairs, diagnostics, introducing new products I don't recommend,
I'm not reviewing them in the sense that you should buy this. I don't play that. I say, here's a new computer from Minis Forum. Here's what I like about it. Here's its specifications. Here's how much it costs. Here's our things that bother me about it. Now, should you buy it? I have no idea. I don't do that. You want it? You know what to expect. I've introduced you. It'd be no different than I have a friend over here, and you're over at my house, and I introduce you to my friend. Will you two become friends? I don't know. I don't care. There's nothing in it for me if you do or you don't. I've just made an introduction. What you do with that is on you. I don't have a dog in the race. Now, you find me another content creator that just makes introductions. I'm not pushing anything. If I think a company is somebody I would not buy from, I'll tell you why I wouldn't buy from them. I'm not going to tell you not to buy from them. I might strongly recommend you avoid them for the same reasons I'm avoiding them, but it's your money. I don't profit if you buy it. I don't profit if you don't. See, I'm not tied to all of those rules that most content creators are tied to. If they want to stay in business, they don't have a choice. We're not in the game. We don't play the game. We've never played the game. And so long as we have the support of the community, we'll never have to play the game. I love that. You have no idea how much I love that. So I have all of you to thank for the existence of this channel for all these years. It's because of you. 100% fact. AI is not a fad. Well, I don't mean a fad in the sense of AI. I mean a fad in the sense of AI, people talking about it. Like everybody's talking about the Supergirl movie, and you know what I mean? And in 6 months' time, nobody's going to be talking about it anymore, but you'll still see it promoted, and you may watch it for the first time on Amazon Prime or Netflix, right? So I think you're misunderstanding me, and you're taking what I'm saying too literally, which I can't stop you from doing. But what I implied by that is there's a lot of discussion about AI. There used to be a lot of discussion about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Do you remember? You remember? And sure, there's still people out there making that content, but you're not tripping over it like you are with AI-related discussions now. So while AI will continue and Bitcoin continues, the conversations move on to whatever the latest thing is. That's all I was trying to convey. And I'm sorry you completely took that literally. I assumed you understood what I meant, but I was wrong. Mark Jackson says, your channel is great. Well, thank you, Mark. Well, it's great because we have a great community. Without the great community, this is a whole different channel. So thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it. It means a lot to me. He says he found me through YouTube a long time ago. Yep. And I guess that'll wrap it up. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. And I enjoy our conversations. And you know, even if we disagree, that's fine too. It doesn't matter. It's I don't need anybody's vindication to know what works. That's not a subjective thing. It's objective. I know what works, or at least what works for me, and I don't need anybody to agree with it. I have a business to run, and it's been running without all these people who disagree, and it will continue to run without them as it always has. So if I share information with you and you don't like it, that's not required. You know, whether people like it or don't like it, I would hope that at the very least we can respect each other's opinions. I don't need to have vindication to know what's working for me. And if you're in a situation I don't know about that gives you an exemption to why it wouldn't work for you, well, that explains that, right? Or if you lack the experience and don't really know what you're talking about, that doesn't really matter to me either. I don't know. It doesn't make a difference. But we can still respect it. And if you can't respect it, well, you don't have to stay. You know what I mean? Like, that's why the community is so amazing. And we certainly hope to see the community grow with other like-minded, respectful individuals who can do what works for them while respecting that may not work for other people. in the same way that they may criticize what I do that works for me, may not work for them. It doesn't mean either one of us is wrong. The only question is, do they respect it? And I think you do. I know you do. Otherwise, you probably would say, this guy's full of it and I'm out of here, and we wouldn't be talking, right? So with that, I think we'll wrap it up. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday. I know it's hot everywhere. Stay cool. Stay safe. We'll be back on Sunday at 1 o'clock, as always, with another public, live, unrehearsed, unscripted video. I expect you to be there. I'm counting on it. Thanks, Tamara. Thanks again, Frankie B, Buster, Mark Gaines, and Nick Caffrey for your support and all those renewed memberships today. Our new members, welcome in. We're so glad to have you back. And we'll look forward to seeing you again here on Sunday. Until then, bye for now.